So, guys, I want to talk about AEW really quick, and I do want to mention that Darby Allin being out on injury or this injury angle that they're doing with Darby Allin is a bad look for the company because a lot of people may be underlooking this, but there may be further conversations. And I also don't know what they're doing with Darby Allin because it's very evidential that you don't know if this is real or if this is fake. And what a lot of people don't realize is that, a lot of people talk about Darby Allin having a bunch of burns from blood and guts, but honestly, like I've done I've worked in filmmaking and definitely you can invest a lot of money in practical effects and makeup. So honestly, like burns or skin being red and stuff like that, that's really not that hard to do. But I do understand that wholeheartedly if he really is injured and he really is fucked up, you know, definitely, that's also very important for him to get the right help and stuff like that. And I do think that I need to talk about both sides about it. And I do think that if this is kind of like fake, and this is kayfabe and everything like that, really, I would kind of like wonder, what's really the end game with this? Because I really think they're trying to get to Samoa Joe versus Darby Allin at Revolution because they want Darby Allin to be the world champion. And like we said before, and I'll say it again, that, maybe Darby Allin needs to go away for a couple of months just so he can like recover. And he's done a lot of things with his body, like going to Mount Everest, being thrown through a burning table and other things like that. And also the other thing with Darby Allin is that, he's done a lot of back-to-back, pay-per-views with hardcore death matches. And I do agree with what a lot of people are saying, which is that, this is not combat zone wrestling. So you cannot have a person like Darby Allin have hardcore matches every single time, really, because if not, he should just quit AEW and go to combat zone wrestling, or he should talk to Tony Khan saying, hey, in addition to Ring of Honor, should you purchase Combat Zone Wrestling and make me the Bruno Sammartino, make me an 8-year champion of Combat Zone Wrestling? That would be what to do, really. But it's good that he's taking a break so we can kind of like have a period of time away from Darby Allin. He can kind of rest and recover. Then when he comes back, you can reinvent him a little bit. Like he does the hardcore deathmatch stuff, but he kind of picks his moments a little bit instead of just always doing that. Like, for example, with Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, they're known for ladder spots and the Dudleys are known for table spots, but they also understand that if they overdo it, it just doesn't have the same impact, or it becomes like the Conway Twitty gag where it's just a little too much, or as some people said with the fish tank and other things like that, it becomes jackass, and that's not the way to do things. Because, you have to kind of say, understand it's a diminishing return. And then you also have to understand that it becomes a little cartoonish in a way. It becomes like, cursing in South Park. When they first did it, it was shocking. But nowadays, you don't really laugh at it anymore, really, because they did it so many times, really. There's a diminishing return. And then also, too, that sometimes, like I said, this can turn from you're trying to make a serious match into you're trying to be a circus freak because you do it so many times it becomes like a drawn out joke. It comes drawn out, really, and then it turns into comical, really. So on that side of this possibly being a way for him to take some time off, a way for him to come back maybe at Revolution next year, take a couple of months off, reinvent himself, or maybe go to Japan for a while and wrestle in other matches that are not hardcore death matches. This could be a good, break for him. And the injury side of it is that if he's really injured, this is a worse look for AEW for a couple of reasons. That number one, it shows that AEW is very reckless because they are responsible for Darby Allin in two ways. That number one, whatever he does in the ring is Tony Khan. So when he had the Sting retirement match, went to the glass and put glass into the audience, that's on him. When he went through the burning table, that's on him. When he did the aquarium spot, that's on him. When he did the coffin drops onto a coffin and other shit like that. When he was put into a body bag with thumbtacks and he was being thrown around, whatever, that's on him and everything like that. Everything that Darby Allin does Tony Khan's responsible for. Unless he does something like say, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want in the match. And that's that, really, Or that's the only time he's responsible, unless Tony says, okay, now you're being fined, or, oh, we need to take you off of television because you're just, you're improvising when I tell you not to improvise. So so there's that side of him being a wrestler in the ring and Tony Khan being too permissive or saying, okay, two things really, where I don't want to see you get a permanent injury, or when you talk badass shit about, oh, I want to be injured or in a wheelchair when I'm 40, that's not a good look for the company. And I'm going to talk about the PR thing in just a minute, but also too, whatever he does in the ring that's reckless and crazy, and now when he talks, he's a little slurred and whatever, because sometimes when you get hurt and get concussions, you're going to talk like you're drunk or on drugs, really, where you're all kind of slurred, a little out of it. So again, if that's acting, that's not what they should be doing. If that's him, and that's now his brain now, that's honestly very, very concerning. He's going to be on the dark side of the ring in a couple of years. But the other side of it is the PR thing. That number one, when he went to Mount Everest, okay, that was not a good decision for two things. Like, he was the hottest star in the company at that time, but he killed that to go to Mount Everest. He was like the hottest star after the Sting retirement, and he killed that because he wanted to go to Mount Everest. And one of the reasons why the Death Riders and other things like that happened, and one of the downfalls of AEW, was because of Darby Allin choosing to be selfish to go to Mount Everest. The other issue of that is if he died in that mountain, that's a very bad PR. And then when he climbed Mount Everest, there was nothing on the news. It wasn't like this national big thing. It was not treated like a big deal. It's like, man, it is what it is, really. John Cena retiring, that's going to be on the news. Darby Allin climbing to Mount Everest, that's not going to be on the news. And that happened both in the same year, really. But I'm sorry, that's how life goes sometimes. Sometimes, you can accomplish these great things or do these life-changing things or these Olympic tasks, and sometimes people are going to be like, it's just piss in the wind, really. But the thing about it is also, the other thing too, is that, you've seen videos of Darby Allin, like he's riding around on RVs, or he's jumping off of bridges, or, he's doing like stunts where he's riding vehicles, he's jumping off of vehicles and he's falling on crash pads or whatever, really, or he's driving through buildings and he's like crashing through it in a vehicle or other shit like that. Eventually that's also that's also AEW's fault too, because when you are a professional wrestler, you are responsible for what you do. The company's responsible for what you do in your personal life. For example, there are some professional wrestlers that do OnlyFans, and their companies are responsible. So if you're in WWE and you are Leah Ripley, and if she did OnlyFans, and she was like, or she was on like We Fuck Goth Girls, or Goth Girls Like to Fuck.com, do you think that they're going to keep her, or do they think they're going to throw her off? They're going to fire her because they're going to be like, hey, you're hurting the reputation of our company. Another example is, let's say you have somebody like John Cena and he wants to, let's say there's a new Jackass film. So you have John Cena in it, doing something reckless and dangerous. You have Cody Rhodes in it. You have Sami Zayn in it. You have Santino Marella. You have Darby Allin. You have like or you have Batista in it or something like that. You have like a bunch of these wrestlers that want to be in WWE or whatever, and they do something stupid and dangerous. Do you really think that WWE is going to find them? Do you think TNA is going to find them? Do you think AEW is going to find them? Or they're going to, or they're going to get calls saying, hey, you can't do this, or hey, we're cutting your contract short because you're doing this stupid shit, really. And that's kind of the other issue with AEW, is that when Darby Allin does this stupid shit on the internet, when he does reckless shit and stuff like that, they are responsible to call him and say, hey, you know what, you are a wrestler for our company. This is bad PR. We don't want you getting injured. We don't want you taking these risks, really, because you have to wrestle for us. We're paying you. You need to be on our pay-per-views. You need to help us sell pay-per-views. So you're doing all this reckless shit. That's not good. But the other part of it is that, you know what, you are a professional wrestler. You are not a carny. And part of the carny code really is to do like shock value, freak show, off-the-wall type of crap, really. So there is, like, as I said, there is diminishing return for when you do shit like that. And also you are a public figure. So ultimately, if he's walking around with injuries, if he's slurred, if he's like a little off there with how he speaks and everything like that, then that's a clear sign that, honestly, you know what, maybe he should retire soon. Or maybe they should say, hey, you know what, you're not going to do hardcore stuff. Or, hey, you know what, we got to just, figure out how to work with you with what you got, really. Or, hey, you can't do this in your personal life because you're doing too much messed up off the wall stuff and stuff like that. Like, remember what happened to Mick Foley? Like, I think Eric Bischoff and WCW didn't want to hire him, and there were talks about by Jim Ross saying, "Hey, we don't want to hire Mick Foley because he does the hardcore death match, off the wall shit and type of stuff like that, really, because." He can easily, jump off a balcony and hurt a fan. He can jump off a balcony and hurt himself, and other things like that, really. So yeah, like companies are responsible for their wrestlers, but the wrestlers have to follow good advice. But ultimately, Darby Allin being out of the Continental Classic on injury, whether that's kayfabe injury or whether that's a real injury, it's not a good look for AEW. It just says that, they let him do whatever he wants, really, and it becomes bad PR because they're saying, okay, now he can be a fucking idiot and hurt himself to a point where he can't wrestle for them. And then the other part of it is that if you're paying him millions of dollars a year, and he's all fucked up, really, then really it's kind of almost like, where's the return on investment, really? Like I've said before, and I'll say it again, there's a reason when they hired Mick Foley and in WWF during the Attitude Era. Honestly, like with Vince, he was very, very controlled. He was like, okay, Mick Foley has to do all this shit. He can only go this far, really. And then went to Hell in a Cell. Obviously, there was some improvisation in that, but Vince had that conversation. I appreciate what you do. You really give a shit about the company. You put your blood, sweat, and tears in this shit, but I don't want to see anything like that. And the reason why he said that was because he had to make it very clear this is not frontier martial arts wrestling. This is not combat zone wrestling. This is not Evel Knievel bullshit, really. You went as far as I wanted this to ever be pushed, really. And that's what you got to do as a booker. And I think with AEW, they're not doing that Darby Allin. They're letting him do whatever the fuck he wants. So there is diminishing return, and I hope they understand that. And they also understand, too, that you're paying a guy millions of dollars every single year to be a wrestler, or you're paying him lots of money, maybe not millions of dollars, or maybe a contract that's $1 million spread out over a couple of years or whatever. Where's the return on investment if a guy's sitting home injured? Where's return on investment if a guy needs to be off television for a couple of months because he's doing too much, really, or he's doing too much on the internet or whatever, really, So they really have to really think about where's the investment in Darby Allin if he's injured now, and where to take him in the future if he wants to further do this type of stuff.